Hello, my name is Chris, and today we're going to take a look at a new feature that's part of our NextGen Designer called Frictionless Data Replication. This allows us to query data sources that exist in our backend and provide them to our mobile devices even when they are offline. So, we're going to design a form here in our NextGen Designer, but before we do that, we need to actually have a data source to provide it with. I've already created a SQL database called InspectionDB on this Azure instance. As you can see, it has a single table called establishments with a few columns in it. And if we were to query that, we'll see that there's 2 rows in it right now. So this is what we're going to use as our actual source of data for the purpose of form design. So if I tab over here to our My Enterprise Middleware Server Administrative Interface, I can click on this Add New Data Source interface. I will say that it's going to be SQL. I'll give it a name. We'll say this is our inspection info. And I'll paste in my connection string and click the Query SQL button. When I do that, we see that the database is queried for its structure. In this case, because it's an Azure database, there are 2 tables, the establishment tables that we care about, and some firewall rules, which is a system table. We can just go ahead and delete that one. We don't really care about it. But we see here in the establishments table that our key is appropriately mapped along with its type of integer. The permit date's got a date time and so on. If we needed to change any of this, we could certainly do that, but because it's a SQL database, it's pretty strongly typed already. We don't really need to make any changes. If I was picking a CSV or some other type of data source, I might need to make some modifications there. I can come down here and specify how frequent I want this data source refreshed. In this case, I'll say 15 minutes. That means the server will query that data source every, in this case, 15 minutes to go find what has been added, edited, deleted, and so on, so it can provide that to the mobile devices. We can also, if we wanted to, indicate who's allowed to use this data source. In this case, for the purpose of the video, we're going to use all administrative users, so it doesn't really matter. But if I wanted to fine-tune who is able to create forms that talk to this data source and who's able to use those forms, I can go ahead and do that here as well. I'll click the Add button, and we see that we are brought back to our data sources list. And if I were to go click on that one, we see that it was created and modified, and the data was last updated. I can click the Update Data button again here. This will force an update more frequent than the 15 minutes. What is going on there is it's actually querying the SQL source and making it available to devices. But of course, now I have to design a form. So if I tab back over to my NextGen Designer screen, which is our web-based designer software, I can log in and start a new design here. First thing I'm going to do is drag a drop down onto the form because we need this to be able to be our kind of selector for the data that we're going to provide. I'm going to add some more fields in a moment, but first, I'm going to tab over to my new data tab over here. I see that the inspection info resource is available, and then the entity or table establishments is available within that. And click on that, which brings it up here into this kind of use data sources area, and then just drag it onto this drop down. When I do that, the different fields, different columns that are in that table are shown to me over here. And because ID happens to be the first column in that table, that's what it's married up to the dropdown right now. I'm going to change that over here in my field properties because I want the name to be in that dropdown instead. In fact, I'll also change the name of the field itself to name so that it accurately reflects that. Now, that's a good start, but as I said, we need some more fields. So I'm going to drag a couple fields for address, city, state, zip. And as I do that, I could resize these, of course, as well. If you take a look at some of our other videos, you can see how the NextGen Designer works as far as form design goes. But in this case, I'm also going to add a couple fields that are not editable, just labels. So for instance, the permit date, and tell it to not hide that caption, and also the max occupant, and not hide that as well. These are some fields that will come over from the data source, but not be in editable fields here. Now I need to marry these up as well. So if I come back to my data tab here, I can drag address, I can drag city, state, zip, permit date, and max occupants. And I'm pretty much ready to go. It's really that simple. I do have to give my form a name, so I can say video form. And I also need to tell it what field is kind of important in this form for exports. We're not going to do any exports in this video, so it doesn't really matter that much, but I do have to specify one. And then I can go ahead and publish that. If I slide over here to my reflector instance, I've got an iPad in my lap here, and that's what's being airplayed up to the screen. I synchronized it so that we get that form. And if I tap on video form here, we'll see the form that I just designed. And when I tap on name, we see the two options that were available within my data source there. If I pick my corporation, I get that one. If I pick Acme Corp, I will go ahead and get that one there as well. So it's really that easy to go ahead and marry a data source to a form that we've designed in NextGen Designer. Just to show a little bit more here, if I were to go and edit my establishments here a little bit, we could go add another one. We could say video company 123 Elm Street. We'll say that's in Raleigh. Let's give it the same phone there. Maybe it has a permit date of 03/15/2017 and 30 occupants. Now, of course, we haven't waited 15 minutes, so what I'll do over here is click Update Data, and that will update our data source on the server. On the client side of things, I can either click, I'll discard this session, but I can either click down or tap down here on Last Sync, or actually it will happen automatically for me when I come back to the menu. But there's a new feature here as well in My Apps. I can slide out my menu and look at data sources, and we shows that the video form is dependent on this inspection info data source, and here is the last time it was synchronized. I can click Sync or Sync All there, and that'll work. And then when I start this new form over here, I should have a third option. I do. I pick video company, and I get that information there as well. And of course, this works outside of the iPad. If I were to go ahead and show this on Windows, I can go ahead and start that same form. This is a Windows Store version of My Apps, and I can pick those same companies there and get the same results there as well. So that's using our frictionless data replication feature as part of NextGen Designer. I hope you enjoyed this video, and certainly if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Best bet is support@mi-corporation.com via email, or search for us on the web, and you can access us from the main My Corporation website. Thank you, and have a good day.